Welcome back.
Let's do welcome back.
Apes together strong. What's the thing they do? They do that?
Because it was from the first film where he's like bending the bundle of twigs that he definitely could have snapped with any sort of ease.
Quite the metaphor.
Caesar, good guy, bad guy? We'll get to that in this hour.
Yeah.
But first, we just recently watched the new Kingdom for the Planet of the War of the Apes.
The game. The
The
movie.
musical.
The number 3. The video game.
Featuring Dante from Devil May Cry.
Redux.
Reloaded.
358 over 9. We are fresh out of the theater, fresh with hot takes and steaming energy, some would say. After watching that movie, Connor,
some?
were you not exhilarated watching that movie?
Let's run it back. We have lukewarm takes and need a cup of coffee. Let's go with that.
Yeah, it's pretty late. All right. So yeah, we just recently watched the new Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, but we also watched in preparation the
Everything
Caesar
else.
Trilogy.
Yeah.
Well, just specifically the Caesar
Caesar
Trilogy.
Trilogy.
'Cause
What
there's
do you
like,
mean? I watched everything.
oh god,
No.
no.
No, you did not.
I did not.
I pray for you if you watch the Tim Burton.
If I went
remake.
down the list and just went through, oh god.
Yeah, so guys, how do we feel about the Planet of the Apes, specifically the Caesar Trilogy? But if you would like to discuss the others, how do we feel about them heading into this movie? Do we like them? Do we dislike them?
Yeah, so like Isaac said, kind of shotgun wedding this. Did it real quick, watched all other 3. First one was great. Second one was good. Third one was not as good. Coming to this, I was kind of just like, oh man, are they just gonna keep the downward trend? I'm like, are we just gonna slowly fade into obscurity until they reboot it again? It's kind of my.
So are you like excited?
I mean,
when me and James said, "Hey, we're gonna watch Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes," were you like, "I'm down," or are you like, "I guess"?
I'm always down. I'm like, sure, I'll clown. Like, that sounds fun.
Sure, I'll clown.
Ironically, watching the other movies made me less excited for tonight. I was telling James before we left that the first one I was like totally locked in. I was like, wow, this is really solid. Like, this is a cool movie. And then by the end of the third one, I was like making dinner.
Jeez.
It was on the computer screen. I'm just like, huh? Oh, something happened? Oh.
James, did you have a similar reaction? Like similar experience?
Not as extreme as that. I personally do not like Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I think that is the weakest one.
The
out
second
of
one?
the 3.
That'd be the first one.
The first one.
No.
Oh, that's Rise of the
Rise
Planet of the
is
Apes.
the first
and
one.
Dawn is the second one.
Yes.
Dawn. Okay, so it's Rise.
Rise is the one
that
with Franco.
I think
Yeah.
is the weakest one and my least favorite of the 3, personally. Part of that does have to do with James Franco. I just don't like him as an actor. I don't think he's really good. Also, arguably, the least evolved CGI out of all of them.
No.
The scenes of baby Caesar jumping around the house, kind of cringe.
It was like 20, what,
But
12?
yeah, it was like
it was
2012.
I thought it was earlier.
No.
No, it was like the first one was like 2008.
Anyways, continue
That does
your
not
thought.
sound
Continue
right
your
at all.
thought. Continue your thought.
It is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes that I personally enjoy the most out of them. That is the second film,
2011.
2011. You were both wrong.
Yeah.
And then
One of us was closer.
War of the Planet of the Apes, I agree, is also a pretty weak film compared to Dawn.
Yeah.
It has its issues and its flaws. But I think that while the CGI improved throughout all the movies, I think that I enjoy Caesar's story throughout all 3 of the films. I just think that the third one had some plot issues that kind of
Some?
a little understatement, but nevertheless. However, I still enjoy the movies nevertheless. I wouldn't say that I was bored watching them,
No.
personally. You
And
know,
I wouldn't really say that I was bored with any of them either. It's just like that, I'm not locked in.
So you were bored.
Well, no.
It's okay if you are.
I don't know, because like boredom. If I'm home alone and I'm watching something
This is
by
a different
myself,
argument. Isaac, what do you think of the 3 movies?
if I was bored, I would have turned it off.
Fair enough. I enjoy all 3 of these movies. I think they all have really strong parts, and I think
Yes.
they all have really weak parts. And as a collective unit, I can't really fault them. I was entertained for all 3. There were definitely times though where I like scrolled Reddit for like
Yeah.
5 minutes.
See, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like, you know.
But during which movie?
Probably the first one the most.
Yeah.
That's also the one I've seen the most.
That's fair.
That makes
I've
sense.
seen that
then.
one like 10 times already.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew it all. The second one I think I would is definitely my favorite, and the one that I think people gravitate
Yeah, for
more
sure.
towards, just because it has like
It
all
is the
cool
strongest
parts.
movie. Yeah.
So you know the ending where it's basically Anakin versus Obi-Wan
Yep.
reduxed on top is so dope.
Yeah.
And the third one I think starts out really really strong, and then I think once Woody Harrelson is introduced, it just kind of
I think for the
I
Dawn of the
think-
Planet of the Apes also has the best human characters out of the 3 of them, in my opinion.
yeah, because they're
Gary
I mean,
Oldman.
they're realistic, right? Like I went into this thinking like, oh, Gary Oldman is a stereotypical villain, but then you realize like he did nothing wrong. He's just responding.
Yeah.
to what all
He's
these-
just dealing with it. Yeah.
Like the apes attacked him first. Like he free my man Gary Oldman. But also like Jason Clarke being like, hey, we need to work together because like we need that shit, and they
Yeah.
have access to that shit, and like, you know, we might not get along, but it's like it's what's good for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Just the dynamic of Koba and Caesar,
Yeah.
of like
That's a great villainy saga.
the
right
nature
there.
versus nurture
Yeah.
aspect of the thematic elements of that throughout the trilogy are so good. And so
Hate begets hate.
yeah, they're like interwoven.
Hate outlives the hateful.
Also
Ooh, bars.
It's from a magic card. So were you then excited to see this film?
I was excited. I remember watching the trailer last year for something. I forgot what it was. But I saw it was a shot of the hawk going onto the monkey.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, we're getting another one?
There are animals in this universe?
I was like, nice. Yeah,
Why isn't every other animal uplifted? What the heck?
why did just the monkeys ride the horses?
Yeah.
What the hell? Yeah, I was very excited going into this one. And I think I was I think I was met.
Met?
You think you're a Met?
Yeah, I think I was
You
met.
know what? Met's not bad. If you have good expectations, meeting them, not bad.
Yeah, how
not
about the
everything needs
Mets?
METS, baby.
to- Mets.
All right, so let's move on to the actual movie. The
Kingdom of the Planets of the Apes.
where Julius
Of the movie.
Caesar is reincarnated in the form of monkey. Any opening remarks we want to
Return
make?
to monk.
Okay, so I wanted to make a joke to you because there's this scene where they're riding on horse, and I'm like, see, even in like our most primitive state, we still return to cowboys.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like there's just something about riding a horse
No,
that just
dude.
unlocks.
Don't you know
Us.
the theory? Everything returns to crab. It always evolves into
No,
crab.
you either return to monk or you evolve to crab. That's the
right.
dichotomy.
That's what Caesar wanted.
Any
That's what
opening
Caesar wanted.
any opening remarks on the movie? Good or bad? Just somewhere to start.
I mean, I'm a sucker for like human.
spoilers.
But yeah, no spoilers. no.
Spoiler free.
This is like literally within the first shot of the film.
Sure.
Human cities that are overgrown. I think that's just a sick aesthetic. I just love seeing just like civilization crumbled and it's just covered in plant life and stuff. Now I
Yep.
thought that was sick. And then just like the villages and stuff
Mm-hmm.
were really cool. I thought like the I don't want to say set because I don't imagine they were sets, but set design
This-
of it,
yeah.
it was awesome. It was super
Mm-hmm.
cool. Music actually was pretty good too. For, you know, a film about monkeys. They could have just, they could
What
have
should
phoned
they
it
have
in.
had instead?
They could have phoned it in, and they didn't.
Oh,
and they did a
techno
pretty good
music.
job. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. You know, like they could have had a, you know, during some sequences they could have had a couple like, you know, like "Take Me Home" or something like that.
They should have
I
had the soundtrack to Civil War.
Yeah. Yeah.
don't know. Like it was
a
good.
road movie.
You know, it fit well.
Okay.
James. Opening remarks.
This movie sucked. No,
Classic James
It's
moment.
actually the worst movie of the year.
no, it's not the worst movie of the
0
year
out of 10. Never watch again.
that we've seen. I was a little meh or disappointed in this one, I think. Coming out of the theater, this felt like I had seen it before. That was my initial reaction. Basically every plot beat in this film, which I get with every movie. But with this one in particular, it felt not just like, oh, I know where this story is going. It's, wait a second, is this like specifically referencing something else?
This is beat
Or
for
not?
beat. Like,
Yeah. Like, and I told Connor this. I was like, there are specific moments where I'm like, this is just from another movie.
This is just from The Last of Us.
Yeah.
he got in the car and he was like, so any like quick summary thoughts? And I was like, oh man, James wants to talk about this film.
No,
and then
I
he
don't,
proceeded to monologue until we got home.
I don't have much to say about it. But when we do get to spoilers, there are specific scenes that I want to see if the other movies come to mind for you guys.
Yeah.
Certain stuff, for sure.
I think this movie is really just a entry into a new trilogy.
Yes.
I think is what's good it is. So I think they were trying to do like the Star Wars episode 7, where it's like, let's just play it safe.
Yeah,
To
just
introduce
for sure.
characters, let's introduce the world, let's introduce
Get
more
used to
conflict
it.
to be introduced in later installments, but also, we're not going to do anything new,
Yeah.
which I know for some would probably be upsetting, but for me, Monkey looked cool.
Monkey did look cool, but I wanted new, personally. In the same way that the Star Wars sequels devolved into just an amalgamation of scenes and set pieces
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
a story, I would fear that trajectory would continue with these movies. This one definitely felt like an amalgamation of different story ideas put together. And I would hope that, if they continue on with Noah's story from here, that it's, similar to how Caesar's was kind of a, linear trajectory. Unlike, Ray's story.
Ray had a story.
I hope that they can do Noah justice in the following films.
Well, hopefully they know a guy to write a better story.
God damn it.
He got us there.
I hate it. All right, visually, how do we feel about it visually? Visual effects,
Amazing.
because these
Yeah.
are the bread and butter of the series, and it has somehow.
They know how to make them look very realistic.
Have you ever watched the behind the scenes of these?
No. Dude, I watched all these films in like 2 days ago.
Okay, you should go home and watch the behind the scenes. I mean, it's mocap,
That's what I
but
assumed.
like they're actually in
It's
the
on location.
environments. Yeah.
cool. That's
So
pretty
it's
sick.
like it's one of the very first movies to ever. Well, I remember reading the second one specifically is one of the very first movies to do that, like on that grand of a scale. The first one was a lot of stage shooting, but yeah, I was blown away. It really reminded me of Avatar 2. Just the level of detail.
Told you.
The level of detail and polish that went into
It's
it.
wonderful, James.
Why you thought I was gonna say that?
No, that was one that I
It was
referenced.
one of the
Yeah.
things he said. He's like,
Yeah.
this is just Avatar too.
Yeah. No, it was really good.
No, absolutely.
Like I said, James spent the entire car ride going, hey, this is the same as the last
Yeah,
one.
basically. But no, I saw comments before this movie even came out, people who saw early screenings saying that they felt that this had awkward CGI. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that it's mostly daylight scenes, and the other films were purposely shot a little bit darker,
Hide
colder,
problems, yeah.
cloudier weather, because you can, shadows are easier to cast in that kind of environment. And
Shadows
that's-
hide a lot of the bad CGI.
and that's important when you're using a lot of CGI and motion capture. And so for all the daytime scenes in this film, I thought it looked completely normal.
Yeah.
There was literally the scene from the trailer where the hawk lands on the guy's arm at the very end of the film. I'm like, yeah, that kind of looks like a PlayStation graphic. But outside of that, I was
Yeah.
like, everything looked
I
perfectly
would say
fine.
the apes, all the different apes looked really good. The birds looked really bad. Like every shot where there was an eagle, I was like, that looks fake as hell.
That's one of those things, though, where it's tough because have you ever been up close to a bird like that before?
Exactly.
That could be what it really looks like.
I mean, they walk the same. They kind of turn their head the same.
Yeah.
I've never seen them in that brilliant of lighting.
Yeah.
You know,
I think,
but
I,
there was
I think it's what it
definitely a
boils
bit
down
of-
to. It's
yeah.
just like Kind of like with like horses and like the various shows, they never look right. Same thing, right? It's just like they're just probably just hard animated.
There were
which is totally
specific scenes at the beginning of the film though where like the birds would like have their backs to the sun, but there would still be light shining on their heads, like facing them, and I'm like, we get that the birds are there, my guy. You don't have to make them look any more special than they already do.
But they were. That was the check.
It's the metaphor. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, CGI was amazing.
Yeah, they did a really good job.
Acting?
In terms of motion capture
Both.
or the humans? Bum, bum, bum.
You have a special weather statement?
Oh,
Oh, more rain.
how bad is the special weather? Oh.
Strong thunderstorm will impact portions of Williamson, Northern Travis, and Central Burnett counties through 10:45 p.m.
That's us, baby.
All right.
You live 10 minutes away.
Yeah, but it just means my power is going to be out when I get home.
No, it's not. You're like James. Every time it rains, you'll freak out.
Like
Arizonans, am I right? Little waterfalls with the sky just start
See, the difference
freaking
is,
out.
in Arizona, I was like,
Look,
whatever,
you're
it's a little bit.
fine. You're fine. It's gonna pass right over us.
Yeah, seems fine.
You're fine.
Isaac, it's not an Arizona problem.
It is an
it's the
Arizona
fact that the Texas power grid sucks ass.
We have not lost power once here.
Congratulations,
When
I've
it
lost
rained,
it so many
when
times.
it rained.
Dude, I had to cancel Raid the other week because my power kept flickering.
That's just your apartment.
That's the grid.
My apartment's older than yours. And
Well, you better, I don't
we've only
know.
never lost power once during the
Yeah,
rain.
no,
Anyways,
Anyway,
continuing on
moving
to
on,
the
moving on,
actors.
I mean, there was only the two human actors, and they were fine. I have no complaints. Nothing to pride them on.
The May is
Yes.
the character's name.
Yes.
A little stiff compared to motion capture apes, surprisingly. But most of that was just line delivery for me. That character is clearly on a mission. You know, she has a goal and she will do anything it takes to get there. So I can understand some of the stiffness in the acting, but the line delivery, it felt like the young actor who hadn't been in front of, motion capture before.
Yeah, it didn't really
That makes
know.
sense. In terms of
probably
Mark
very hard.
Hamill, I think he did perfectly fine, just playing an eccentric guy. So, Guy Pearce. Always love to see him in the movie.
Our Guy Pearce.
Coming through once again.
Yeah, it takes a special talent to be able to act with motion capture. I mean,
Ever since the
Caesar
Jurassic
Trilogy.
World movies, I have distrust
It's a good bit.
humans like live acting against CGI or like Game of Thrones did it better than the freaking Jurassic World movies.
Yeah.
And even still, like when humans are interacting with what is supposed to be motion capture, like you get that an actual feeling of it being real because they're actually physically with
face-to-face
another
with each
actor.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just in your head when you're watching it, like that's not real fur, that's not a real ape. It kind of messes with me that way a little bit. But at least it's still an actual actor there. And in terms of the performances for the apes themselves, I mean, I thought they were all
Yeah, I think they
perfectly
did a
fine.
great job. Yeah.
Really, the only person who kind of felt out of place was Raka, the orangutan.
The orangutan.
He
Yeah.
was blazed out of his mind the entire film.
My guy's the embodiment of like that street prophet you find on like Venice Beach.
My man, like, he showed up and he was like, and I was like, all right.
For sure. Yeah. He was the only, but like his personality and what he teaches Noah makes total sense and was necessary for
He's
the
a
film.
wise prophet from old yesteryear.
Yeah. To be
He's like, you ruffians don't know about the true Lord.
He's the Gandalf.
Yeah.
But for some reason, the actual like physicality of his acting and even his line delivery just kind of felt out of place. That's just me personally, though.
I will say that I think that the way they have the apes speak, where it's like that stilted, like
Yeah.
they're struggling for it thing, made a lot of sense in the first couple films. We're now 300 years in the future. I feel like they would have gotten past that.
Well, I mean, have you talked to somebody like nowadays?
Okay, fair.
We've been speaking English for like 1,500 years.
Fair. You got me there. But like, there was just a couple times where I'm like, the line I feel like would hit a little bit harder if you weren't pausing after every word like you're William Shatner.
I actually disagree because them speaking like when an ape would speak like perfect, like with
Fluency.
yeah, whatever fluidity. I don't know what kind of word I'm looking for. But like when they actually spoke regular, it like threw me out. I was like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
Well, I think like there's like a good balance between that where it's like they don't need to be using like good verbiage, but I feel like they would be able to string a sentence together without pausing because their vocal cords are developed enough to do that now. You know what I mean? Because like the whole reason they were stuttering at the start was because they were learning how to speak.
Yeah.
And now they speak as a huge part of their like civilization. It'd have been one thing if like the entire, you know, until a human showed up, they're all doing the sign language. And then it's like, we have to actually speak now, you know, because that's the only way they can understand us. But they weren't. They were talking and doing sign language. So I was like, you guys have developed vocal cords at this point. I don't care if your words are me feel good. Just say it in one sentence. You don't need to break. Maybe that's just the, you know, the sci-fi ahead of me where I'm like, come on, evolve.
They didn't put enough.
got 'em there.
They didn't put enough RPG points into.
They went
their
all on the
speech.
strength and dexterity.
Yeah,
and they didn't
they-
get any
I don't know,
charisma.
They
man. The
went
way
no
the guy
speech.
says evolution.
See, that's what I mean.
That was cool.
That was cool. But that's him just like not knowing the word, and so
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
But like him being like, that makes me feel good. You know the word.
You made me feel bad, and
Yeah.
that's not good.
I don't know. It kind of was just like it was a sticking point where I was like, oh.
So what I'm hearing is in the next one, Connor wants like full Shakespearean
Yeah.
No,
prose.
I just want
Just
I just want it to
I
sound
bite
like
your thumb at thee, sire.
if you have a race that communicates verbally, I expect their communication to be decent. That is all. If it was grunts and all they did was grunts, you would have noticed immediately that they went like, wow, they're doing like a like you could tell there's like pauses in the cadence there. You're like, they would just grunt.
I want in the next movie their language to be so evolved that they're speaking a form of English that we require subtitles. in
Yeah,
order to
right.
understand.
That'd be kind of
I
cool.
was really hoping for that too.
That'd be kind of cool.
Where I
It
was
takes
just-
place 300 years after.
yeah, that's plenty of time.
When did we start speaking modern English? Let me look that up. real quick.
Okay, how many years did it take Caesar to speak English?
Okay, Caesar was one of one. Caesar was him.
Caesar was him.
All right, but
Literally
the
built
other
different.
apes picked it up by the second film, and that was like what 20 years?
So we've been using modern English since about 1450.
Okay.
Just saying, I can see why people don't know how to talk. Why apes don't know how to talk.
Fair. I get where you're coming from. I'm just saying. They're supposed to be smarter than us. That's the whole point.
Anything else that we would like to discuss? I really feel like that's it. I mean,
For non-spoiler
everything
stuff,
else
yeah.
is pretty...
I could,
Middle of the
there's
road,
some spoiler
right?
talk I could probably toss out.
Yeah, we'll
Just
get to
comments,
spoiler
yeah.
talk in a
But I
little
think
bit,
that's
but-
yeah,
Acting
It
was
was
pretty
fun,
good.
I think is what it
was
comes
a fun
down to.
time.
Yeah.
It was a fun movie.
good use of an evening.
Good summer blockbuster.
Yeah.
Which is really what these movies are, more or less. So,
Yeah. I feel like for the most part, if you're going to see Planet of the Apes movie, it's either for the CGI or because you just have seen the other ones and you want to see more of it.
Yeah, just enjoy the story.
But outside of that,
They're not bad.
They're
at
not
all.
bad.
I love them.
I don't think
this one
any,
sucked.
not a single one of them I would rate low by any stretch of the imagination. They're just good, fun films.
Quality.
You know? Yeah.
it's a great movie to make dinner to.
It was a good katsu tonight.
Where would we rank this in terms of movie trilogies?
Trilogies as a whole?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a harsh contender.
I
man.
do. When I was thinking about
I
this,
don't think it's that low.
what I
No.
do respect about the Planet of the Apes movie is that it is a cinema, like from cinema genre, like
Yeah.
it's a franchise. We don't have many of those any longer. We mostly have adaptations from other mediums.
Right.
But this is one of the few franchises going on that is got its start in films. Those are pretty rare these days, I think. Mad Max is another one that, it's coming out soon.
Because you got to think Alien, Terminator,
Alien, Terminator, Star Wars, of
Star
course.
Wars, probably. I would think The Godfather's probably above it.
Not even a question.
The Lord of the Rings. Back to the Future.
I don't think I've seen all the Back to the Future movies.
The Dark Knight for sure.
Well,
That's not fair for you. I'd put it below.
No, I'm just naming trilogies.
No, yeah.
I'm not
That's-
ranking them.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
That's why I'm like,
I was like,
no,
are
no, no.
you?
I'm,
Is this?
I'm trying to place it in where
like,
you would
if
put
you don't
it.
think there's a lot.
I mean,
of
I'd
these are
probably
all of
say
them.
like as a whole, that's probably like a B tier. You know, like it's
Would you
just
put it above the Shia LaBeouf trilogy of Transformers?
no, that's S plus. That's at the very
Okay.
top. Yeah. Come on, what do you think?
Would you put it? What else? What else am I thinking of? Back to the Future. I said. I feel like there's a trilogy I'm missing that people are gonna be pissed off about.
Mortal Kombat movies?
Both Star Wars trilogies. The original and the prequel.
I like that you just said both and not all three.
I don't acknowledge the sequels.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
I mean, the Caesar trilogy.
Yeah, we're just
Yeah,
talking
yeah, just-
specifically the Caesar trilogy.
Enjoyed watching them, but as a continuous viewing experience, which, as you guys know, I've done that with multiple film trilogies at this
yeah,
point.
just yeah.
I don't think it ranks above. The only three I might put above it would be the Dark Knight, Star Wars, and Lord of the Rings. The issue with Godfather is
The
part
third
3.
one. Yes. I
And
agree.
also, those movies are pretty difficult to watch back to back to back in
yeah.
one sitting. They're pretty heavy movies. The
Into it.
issue, though, is that,
Give me enough.
and that's not to say that it's as good as those either. There are the same plot issues that I have with them anyway. There's the time leaps between films. The fact that, Caesar isn't even really the main character in a lot of them. There's like multiple, like a revolving cast kind of. And since there's so much time skips, each movie has a different core set, especially with a human. Part of that was Franco's own fault. But regardless,
Well,
it's a good trilogy, but in terms of rewatchability, it ranks pretty low for me personally. And that's not to say that I don't enjoy the films, but Dawn is pretty much the only one that I was even excited to rewatch for the most part,
that's fair. Yeah.
in my opinion. You can
Pirates of the Caribbean. Is it higher or lower than this trilogy?
You see, I want to rewatch the
Yeah, can we just do
trilogy
Pirates
now.
next podcast?
Yes.
I've
Can I
been
have an
really
excuse to
meaning to
rewatch
do
those?
that.
Yes.
I've been really meaning to
but
do
I
maybe
that.
feel like it's there. I feel like it's there.
I
around,
feel like it's equal.
The Back
Yeah.
to the Future, like it's like fun summer blockbusters, but you wouldn't necessarily call these movies art, unless you're specifically talking about the
CGI.
technicality.
Yeah,
of
the
the
technicality of Yeah,
Definitely.
no, I think I'd agree with that. It's just, it's very much like, oh man, I want to watch something, but like I don't really want to like think. Like you can throw these on, you'll have a good time. You'll still have like
Yeah.
good moments and stuff, but like if you decide like halfway through, like I'm gonna pull
It's
out
in
Reddit.
that category of like FX movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
One of those things, you're at a hotel and it's like 7 o'clock. You don't want to go to bed yet. You're just like, let's see what's on the telly. And
That's
it's
a
like,
little
oh,
too oddly specific, but I know what you mean.
It's a vibe. Like there's a lot of movies I rewatch because it happened to be on hotel television.
Or they're like on the actual like plane.
Yeah.
The plane TV.
Exactly. Yeah. You're on like
not
hour
a couple
8 of your like 15-hour flight. You're like, I gotta watch
Can't-
something.
yeah,
no,
man.
I
yeah, I
can't
can
relate.
relate to that. Sorry, we
Also,
don't have.
too oddly specific an example.
It's like 4 in the morning. Everybody's been asleep. You can't do it because it's planned. So you're just like, please. Your Switch died 4 hours ago.
All right, so that was spoiler-free talk. We're gonna go ahead and spoil this movie for you in about 2 seconds. So it's kind of crazy that Caesar just came
Caesar
back.
died.
I know, it's like, wow. I'm gonna be real with you
Ape
guys.
Jesus.
300 years later, he just rose.
I am like
Just
very much how do I phrase this? It's not justified, but I'm very upset that he didn't die via betrayal.
of the what?
Caesar, that this current Caesar didn't die of betrayal. Because they talked about the Roman
Oh.
Empire. It's very clear that was like an
Yeah.
influence. And he's like, I'm Caesar. I was like, as soon as they brought that up, and he was like, yeah, Roman Empire. I keep reading Roman Empire stories. It's like, we're going to have a moment. And he's going to like,
Et tu brute?
he's going to be over and then he's just going to get shaken in the back. And it didn't happen. And I was upset about it. I was like, that wrote itself. Like,
I did mention that the main character, Noah, he is basically Oedipus, though.
yeah.
He
You can bring that up.
kills his dad and then takes his
Well, he
place.
doesn't kill
and
his
then-
dad.
Well, he basically leads them there to his freaking
That's fair.
with his horse gets loose. But he has that's more Greek tragedy in that respects. Okay, I
These
have
movies
to
are
ask you
very
this.
Shakespearean.
I have
Yeah.
to ask you this: when they flood the bunker, was that not the end of Avatar Part 2?
Now I gotta reimagine Avatar Part 2.
because they fight
In the water.
in the water
Yeah.
and they go into like a ship and they're
Yes.
basically underwater the entire time. That whole time I was like, this is just Avatar Part 2.
No, I didn't get that vibe.
I got that vibe 100%. Here's another one for you. When May chokes out William H. Macy's character,
Yes.
and the camera kind of zooms in over her head, was that not the beginning to No Country for Old Men?
Yes.
That is 100%.
That was
what that
100%
was.
an Anton Trigger.
I was like, what are we doing right now?
Yeah, that was pretty on the nose.
Like,
Because
yeah.
it even like comes in Dutch.
To her, yeah.
It was, yeah.
That's one of those films where I'm like, that's a good movie. This is not the reference you need at this moment, my guy.
I loved it.
A little too much.
I will say another in spoiler talk. There was a lot of like plot convenience. I feel like, where stuff just sort of was allowed to happen. Like, where were the guards on the wall as they were
Okay,
setting
I'm
up
glad
the
we
bomb?
brought that up because the apes are gonna. The reason the apes will fall as a civilization is
Yeah.
because the lack of guards that they have in
Yeah.
these movies.
It's a little bit
All
absurd.
three of the movies, it just like
Well,
there's
that
just
was the humans in the third one in War. It was the humans who they were bad guards.
Yeah.
They let the apes escape.
oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. That's
So
right.
this
Oh my
whole
God.
universe, this whole cinematic universe is just filled with the worst,
worst-
centuries
yeah.
imaginable.
It's just I'm sitting there, I'm watching them set up. I'm like, okay, cover of darkness, etc. And then like it's daylight and nobody has found the fuse that is 10 feet from the thing they've been working on for the last 4 months. And I was like, it's not even hidden.
No, that is acceptable. Hidden in plain sight. The two things that bothered me was him climbing into the room to meet May, cut to May and him outside the room, cut to William H. Macy outside. And I'm like, are you guys not like under like vault in there? Or
Yeah.
are you just allowed to wander around for free? That was never explained. And so
Yeah.
when he showed up, I'm like, oh, you can just walk
You
around.
can just walk away. Yeah,
I thought you were like
I
a
like
prisoner.
the gall that William H. Macy had where he was like, yeah, you guys are in trouble, and then walked away. And I'm like, my dude, you're not even armed?
yeah. Like I thought that was like gonna be the moment where it's like, okay, they're gonna get caught and we're gonna like
Yeah.
have this whole sequence.
Yeah.
Because I was like, why would he not just turn around and be like, guards? Like they're gonna blow up the
Yeah.
bridge. Like
There's a lot of plot convenience. Yeah.
there's a ton of it. It's all over this
Very
film.
frustrating. Because it's just unearned.
Yeah, it's just very much like when what's his name? Proximus? That was the big ape, right?
Yeah.
Proximus hunting the girl. They walked like
Well, Proximus is the king.
He's the king.
or not,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
okay.
but
I'm
I
thinking
know
of the-
we know
the
he's
other
the gorilla.
gorilla.
Yeah,
The gorilla.
The big gorilla.
They traveled back for like 4 days. And you're telling me that people on horseback couldn't catch up to this little girl at any point during that.
Hey, she knows the jungles. That's
She
you know what that is? It's guerrilla warfare.
That was one of my issues with
That one
the
is
third
actually,
film, actually was that the guerrilla warfare wasn't used enough, and I thought that was a pretty obvious joke.
I didn't mind that one as much.
Yeah, I mean, it was just these little things where I was just seeing it. I'm like, that.
Yeah, there's a difference between the logical inconsistency that you notice when you think about it
Yeah.
and the big issues you notice while you're watching the film. For me, the stuff that you think of afterwards, I'm like, I can excuse that because it didn't bother me when I watched
Yeah,
it.
no.
But it's the stuff that, like, while I was watching the film, I was like, that shouldn't happen. Or that was a dumb thing to happen. That's the stuff that bothers
Like
me.
I point out to James, there was a lot of like, I'm assuming attempts at red herrings that just fell really flat because like she grabbed the fire axe, and I was like, okay, so like they're gonna get into some combat or like this is gonna show up later, right? And then she has it for a scene,
and then she finds the guns.
and she doesn't do anything with it, and it disappears. And I'm like, what was the point of her very loudly and very like it was shot on? It wasn't like the
There
monkeys
was
were
an
talking.
audio cue and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, the apes weren't like talking, and in the background you see her grab the axe, and then she walks up with it. They were like, here's her taking the axe, and then it's gone.
I interpreted that as they were feeding more into the apes not trusting the
Yeah.
humans thing, right? Because the seed is planted in Noah's head that maybe I shouldn't trust her. And then he sees her grab the axe and is like, what the fuck is she doing with an axe?
And I mean, like, I kind of get that too, but it's still like, there should have been more of him, like, you know, afterwards being like, hey, maybe like we keep an eye on her or something.
Well, there
you know?
was, because then they find the book. The next scene is them finding the book where they
Yeah.
see the monkeys in the cage.
Right.
Which is when he starts to go full, like, yeah, I don't trust this bitch. Sorry, respectable female.
Right, yeah. Decent job.
Echo.
That's how I read it.
I do enjoy
I'm not
that-
saying I'm right. I'm just
No,
saying
yeah.
that's how I interpreted it.
I do enjoy that they call them echoes, though. I find that it's a very funny, like, kind of futuristic way to apply that. Just because, like, you know, like they're like us, but a little bit distorted, like an echo. Which wasn't explained, but that was just how my brain took it. But like also, as I pointed out to James on the car ride home, at the very final sequence, the gun is behind her back. It is not in a belt.
Yes.
She is holding it. He presents her the mark, and she grabs it with both hands. Where'd the gun go?
Connor, I'm going to be honest with you. If that's the kind of stuff that bothers you watching a movie, you will never enjoy a movie ever again.
No, it's just like little things
Every
like that.
movie has something like that.
I know, but it's the little things like that where I'm like, how does nobody watching this put two and two together? Like,
The script supervisor just forgot that one.
it's just so silly to me.
Or they just cut out the quick shot of her.
Putting it away.
Yeah. Whole,
And I mean, like, I know it's like nitpicking, but like that's the things that pop in my head, like the
No, I
CGI from
100%
Heat, where it's
noticed
just
it,
like,
too.
I did too. No, I noticed it, but I was just like, hey, it's movies.
Yeah.
It
I
happens.
mean, like I said, it's not like this was supposed to be like, you know, the next big thing to make you readjust your life view. It was just supposed to be fun, so it's like whatever. But it was the icing on the cake of like all the other random crap that just happens, and I'm like, she would have dropped the gun, no one would have seen it, and he would have been like, what the hell? And that would have been it. He would have gone exactly, what the hell? And then it would have cut.
there was a
would've gone,
second.
shit.
Or
Cut to black. Lincoln Park Place.
there was a second where I thought she was going to give him the gun. And be like,
Yeah.
there you
Have
go,
her-
use this.
that would've
You
been
know,
good.
your next
Yeah.
step in evolution. So, you know, that would have been good. That would have been cool as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it was for naught.
No.
How do we feel about the? So clearly they're setting up monkeys and humans. Two world, two war once again.
Yep.
How do we feel about that?
My
I'm
big
kind of over
complaint.
it. Get rid of the humans.
Really?
Yeah. Get rid of the humans.
My big complaint with War of the Planet of the Apes was that there wasn't enough war in it.
Because
What do you mean? They sieged the Bastille in the
Sieged
very
the
first
Bastille,
scene.
but, you know.
They try to take Fort Strong in the first
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, I'm kind of with you, Isaac, where it's like I'm sick of the human plots.
Yeah.
You know, like I need more, like with kaiju movies, I need more big monster, my big monster film. I need more apes, my ape film. But at the same time, I really do enjoy that they're setting up for humans to be this like horribly selfish, awful race of beings that just will like destroy this new intelligence because it's not how we had it. Because I like that. I like when humans are the bad guys.
I mean, it's not inaccurate.
No, it's exactly how people would react. Yeah. So like I kind of enjoy like the idea that like the next film is going to be them like this is our right, this is what we should have, kind of like war again. And the apes just like finally having enough of it because like Caesar's gone, so there's none of like the love and respect preaching bullshit. It's just like they're like, you know what? No, we're done with you, and then it's full on war like James wants.
No, it's going to be the
Noah's-
apes actually create a United States.
Noah is the great unifier.
Yeah, they don't give humans the right to vote. And so the whole film is just the human suffragette movement.
It's actually going to be like Hostel's part, like the apes are Americans and the humans are the Native Americans.
Yeah.
No.
It's Blood Meridian.
Yeah.
Don't you dare speak that name.
Give the people what they really want.
Yeah. They become the cowboys for real that time. Yeah.
It all returns back to cowboy.
All comes back to cowboys.
Hey, yeehaw, partner.
Yeah, I'm kind of over it.
The war.
Yeah.
That's why I think it won't be physical violence. Obviously, the
be
battle
propaganda.
for the battle for
1984.
weapons will be there. You know, with military technology on the line, and
Yeah.
of course nukes and
Yeah.
silos. But we're not gonna see. You know, hopefully we don't see. You know, apes riding freaking Panzer tanks across. You know?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of sick.
Actually, now that you said that, never
won't
mind. I
war.
want to see that.
No, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I would really appreciate a like.
Just like two chimpanzees just hop into an F-16.
I was thinking like a Dune Part 2 final sequence where it's just like a big zoom out and it's a city and there's just tons of fighting happening. That'd be kind of cool.
Just they get Timothée Chalamet to come back in to recreate that scene where it like pushes in on his face.
Yeah, no,
I'd be into
that's
that.
not gonna happen.
And no, there's no way in hell.
Just hear in
But,
the
like,
background. Oh, we are.
What could be cool is that they've established like humans are talking again and they have this war. It'd be cool to have if they do like 2 more films and they do another set of trilogy, right? It'd be cool to have at the very final part of that where humans are the ones in cages and it's like, you know, some random young apes like going back through the history and it's like, oh, we're just like them.
Yeah.
You know, like it's cyclical. And then like that's the story where it just like wraps up like, okay, apes have evolved to the point where they were us. And now are they going to make the same mistakes or are they going to allow cohabitation?
That movie is called Planet of the Apes. We'll get there eventually. I think that's where this trilogy is going to end. Just a full-on recreation of
yes,
the
it has to.
1968
It absolutely has to.
with that rocket ship that comes back 300 years later.
That's what I like. I had to like stop
Matthew McConaughey.
towards the end, and I
Anne
had to
Hathaway.
like, I had to like sit there and remind myself that this happened in modern times because like when
Yeah.
they're like they got the satellite in, and I was like, are we about to have like an actual like space thing? Like, is it going to be like they're like, you know, calling all humans living among the stars? That's what I felt like for a second.
I was
like,
expecting like the ISS to ping them back at the end.
Yeah.
like I just like
300 years
We're about
later.
to drop this. We're about to drop some nukes.
I don't know.
That would have been really funny too if that's just how they end it. There's no other movie.
Just
Just
a
to end it with-
nuke in the
I
background.
was saying, it just ends with enter launch code, yes or no, and then it just like cuts, and you're just like,
I mean,
I
that
will
might
not be happy till monkeys land on moon.
space chimps. I'm telling you, this is a prequel.
it all returns to space ships.
It's funny.
There was an airbud like that once.
I will say one thing I liked is the mythalization of Caesar.
Yeah,
I thought that was
Because
cool.
the first 3
That's-
are very political
definitely.
heavy. Where like, you know, there's infighting, civil war, stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then this one is
once he coalesces
specifically
his
like it reminds me a lot of Christianity.
it's supposed
Which
to.
I think it's supposed
I think that's
to.
the idea. Yeah.
At first I was like, is this George Washington? And I was like, oh no, that's Jesus.
Yeah,
Even close. Yeah. Even more controversial.
yeah.
Oh,
How one person's word can
Yeah.
lead to multiple interpretations
Yep.
over time, as
Different sects.
Yeah.
The way they
schisms.
the way they like go to war over that. It's very eerily reminiscent of like, you know,
it's funny because at the
Protestant
very start,
Reformation.
you know, as they're like they're burning Caesar's body and they're doing the apes together strong, and like he pans out and there's like the monolith with his little mark. I almost leaned over to you, Isaac, and was like, "Oh, dude, the Ten Commandments, nice." And then like half of the film, I was like, "Oh, it really was the Ten Commandments."
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, that little symbol is the window
Yeah.
in his house.
Yeah, I
I
know.
wasn't sure if you knew. that.
I'm not.
Just saying.
It was super obvious in the first
No,
film.
it was super obvious in the first film. It was super obvious in the first film, and then I went to the freaking Planet of the Apes subreddit, and there were people being like, "What's this logo?" And I'm like, "It's in the,
The first
movie."
problem was you went on Reddit.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, hey, it's been a long time since maybe people just didn't watch it. But,
That's true.
It's like it's pretty straightforward. Oh,
Anyway,
yeah.
Oh, there was something on Reddit I saw where somebody was like,
Your
well,
first
that's your
mistake.
problem. You were on Reddit.
no, somebody.
Nice.
Ah, what was it? It was a recent movie. I don't know. Anyways,
The
it just,
Amy Winehouse one.
it just made me think of that where like somebody pointed out something super obvious, and I just commented, "Yeah, did you not watch the fucking movie?"
Yeah, that's most of it.
Correct.
The freaking there's a subreddit called like Peter Explain This or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's the most like
It's so funny.
it's I honestly just think it's sarcasm the
Yeah.
entire
Oh,
time
100%.
because it's like, but yeah, it's so dumb. For
We're
me.
dumb.
People are dumb.
People are dumb.
All right,
That's the
anything
lesson.
else?
Apes aren't dumb.
That we
Apes,
learned?
apes are not dumb. You
Return
know
to
what
monk.
apes are? Together, strong.
I think it's
All right, I think that's where we're gonna end it.
All right,
I don't think
cool.
we can really.
Sum it up any better?
Thanks for watching, guys. See you guys next week when we do Pirates of the Caribbean.